Hey there everyone, it's Craig here from Photography Passion, and today I'm going to take you through what bracketing means. So you might hear bracketing as a bit of terminology used in photography, and it's really nothing to be scared of. It's just really a series of images of the same composition with different exposure values or focus areas. So what do you use bracketing for? So firstly, you can use bracketing for is to create a HDR image, and HDR just means high dynamic range. And what a HDR image does is it just combines all the different aspects, all the different exposure values of that image into one image to create a new photo. So there are a range of programs out there that can create HDR images. The latest couple of versions of Lightroom has a HDR function, and then also there I've got highlighted that logo there is Photomatix Pro, and that's the one that I use. So you can also use these bracketed images to exposure blend, and it's basically an exposure blend. You use this in Photoshop where you can just blend two or more aspects of these bracketed images to create a nice exposure. And then you can also use it to focus stack. And focus stacking is, again, combining different parts of the bracketed images to create sharp exposure and focus areas all the way through from the foreground to the background. I'm not going to talk too much about that. I'm just really going to focus on how we use bracketing to create HDR and exposure blending. So what does that mean? So a bracketed image. So you really start off with your base image here, and you can see here I've got a base image at 2.5 seconds, and EV just means exposure value. So the exposure value is 0 because that's my base image. Now I've bracketed one stop below. So a stop just means when you're going below for a shorter shutter speed, it's now 1.25 seconds. So you can see it's half of 2.5 is 1.25 seconds, and that's minus one stop. And then also minus two stops is exposure value of minus 2, and now the shutter speed goes down to 0.6 of a second. So you can see there the base image of 2.5 seconds. I've taken one stop of light off this image to do 1.25, and then the third shot is at 0.6 seconds. Now that's the two stops of light down lower to really highlight what you can see in the sky here. In that base image it's not too bad, but in the minus two stops of light image you can really see the sky starting to come alive there. Lots of different colors in the sky, and the sky now is exposed properly, but you can see in the foreground the boat is really in the shadow. So what we need to do is create some more exposures to create a proper exposure for the boat in the foreground. So what does that mean? Again, we've got the base image, and then I've taken another image with one more stop of light. So it's now 5 seconds, and then another stop of light to 10 seconds. So you can see here I've got my base image, one stop of light, 5 seconds, two stops of light at 10 seconds. So there's a series of 5 images there with my base image at 2.5 seconds, and then I've done another 2 images with a shorter shutter speed, and then another 2 images with a longer shutter speed. Now that gives me a series of 5 photos, and that is my bracket. So that's basically all bracketing is just a series of photos and the same composition. I mean, here I've just used the shutter speed to create different exposure values. So what do you do with these brackets? Well, basically I run these through the program called Photomatix Pro, and this image here you can see now is an output of Photomatix Pro. It's combined those 5 images to produce this one. Now it looks better, but it's not completely finished, so I will then take that image here and then process it in Lightroom, and you can see here that's the finished version with an edit in Lightroom. So now you can see the boat in the foreground is still really nice and bright. It hasn't lost any detail in the shadows because Photomatix Pro has taken the higher exposed images for the foreground with the boat, and then you can see in the sky though as well, it's really nice and come alive, and the sky is also exposed beautifully thanks to Photomatix Pro. It's combined those two I've edited up in Lightroom, and that's the output. So that's really basically editing for bracketing of photos, and that's what bracketing is. So it's pretty simple. Great tool to use, especially if you're looking directly into the sunlight, and you've also got something in the foreground that you want to expose for. Then you combine two of them together or more, and then it comes out with a beautiful image like that. So that's it, guys. Hope that makes sense. Please don't forget to leave a like, put some comments in the description, and subscribe. Thank you very much.